The Democratic National Committee today filed a lawsuit to force Senator John McCain to obey the law, specifically the laws of campaign financing, specifically the law known by remarkable coincidence as the McCain-Feingold Act. In our third story tonight, McCain and Obama battling over which of them will and won't, is and isn't participating in the public funding of their campaigns and the rules that come with that. As the Washington Post reports, Obama is not merely raising millions from many small contributions, he's also raising large amounts from so-called bundlers. The law prevents donors from giving more than $2,300 each, so big money supporters instead line up other big money friends, associates, etc., compiling big fat bundles of contributions. 79 so-called bundlers having tapped their personal networks thusly for Obama, each raising at least $200,000 for the campaign, about $16 million in total. The average donation is just $109, but with more than 1 million contributors, Obama now refers to what he calls a parallel public financing system, a system of his own creation, which last week he suggested might free him from having to use the real public financing system.
Through the internet and the enthusiasm of this campaign, we've created a model for being able to compete at the highest levels of politics without being dependent on big moneyed interests, and I think that's a real positive. My position on public financing continues to be the same as the one that I talked about a month and a half ago or 2 months ago when this first came up, which is that I would like to see a system preserved, and I intend, if I am the nominee, to have conversations with Senator McCain about how to move forward in a way that doesn't allow third parties to overwhelm the system.
Senator McCain ripped Obama for those remarks, despite the fact that last year McCain joined the public financing system, then borrowed money for his campaign using that public financing as, in effect, collateral, then this year exceeded the McCain-Feingold limits on his spending, and then in response claimed the McCain-Feingold limit did not apply to him because he wasn't in the system anymore, because he now had enough money on his own, some of which he got because he used the fact that he was in the system as collateral. Got it? McCain also apparently missing the nuance of Obama's past promise, which was not to accept public financing, but to promise to hold discussions with the Republican nominee on some form of it. McCain now accusing Senator Obama of flip-flopping.
You know, I'm entertained by it, because he didn't talk about those kinds of discussions when he committed in writing to taking public financing in the general election if I would. I committed to it. Now, all those other discussions might be interesting and I hope over time valuable. But the fact is that he's saying one thing and he's doing another. I mean, that's indisputable.
But clearly he's got it backwards exactly. Obama did not commit in writing to taking public financing in the general election. He clearly did talk about those kinds of discussions. That presidential questionnaire from the Midwest Democracy Network is available at no cost online, and it does quote Obama in depth about his novel way to adapt public financing, and it reads in conclusion, "If I am the Democratic nominee, I will aggressively pursue an agreement with the Republican nominee to preserve a publicly financed general election." Let's bring in MSNBC political analyst, senior editor at Newsweek, Johnathon Alter. John, good evening.
Hi, Keith.
That last part first. At some point, doesn't somebody hold up that questionnaire, like Joe McCarthy, I've got in my hands, I'm holding this questionnaire, and read that entire Obama answer to Senator McCain and say, Senator, this isn't even close. You're wrong on this, and Obama is right. Here's what he said.
Well, the problem, Keith, is that both of these guys are associated with campaign finance, McCain with McCain-Feingold, and Barack Obama with quite a good piece of legislation that he got through limiting the role of lobbyists, a good piece of ethics legislation. And they're going to spend the next several months accusing each other of being hypocrites. I don't think the voters care a hell of a lot. This is in some ways going to be a diversion from the issues that are really on the minds of voters. Whatever you think about Obama, what he has done by assembling close to 1 million contributors, dwarfing anything that's ever been done before, average donation, as you indicated, $109. Whatever you think of him and his politics, this is fantastic news for our democracy, because it basically means that however many bundlers he is not owned by big money, and he's the first candidate in many, many years who can claim that.
The lawsuit that would be filed against McCain here by the Democratic committee, does it go anywhere? I mean, is it for show? Is it for self-defense? Or can Democrats really force McCain to keep his spending within those campaign finance limits while the sky is the limit for Obama?
They can't. I mean, these laws are pretty teethless. We've found there's sometimes some kind of relatively small fines imposed by the Federal Election Commission. Usually they're imposed after the election. But what it does do for the Democrats is kind of lays down a marker that they're not going to let McCain attack Obama on this subject without firing back at McCain's own hypocrisy on this. I do think that Obama did indicate early on that he would would opt for public financing in the fall. In several interviews, he indicated that. But that was before he created what he rightly calls a parallel public financing system. There's no law that requires you to take part in public financing. It's optional. And if you have raised all this money from small donors, it's perfectly fine to say that you're not going to take part in the system. And all of the goo-goos, you know, the people who push for campaign finance reform, who will be attacking Obama for opting out, should remember what the point of this is. The point is not some, complex system of checking off on your taxes so everybody gives $1 and, we have public financing. The point of it is to reduce the influence of big money in politics.
Right. It's not the fairness doctrine. But to that last point, what political purpose does it serve for Senator Obama to delay simply saying, you know what, I'm not going to take public financing, deal with it?
Well, I don't think he wants to do that right now because there are some people in the Democratic Party who are still voting in Democratic primaries who take all this rather maybe more seriously than they should. And also, he would be, going back on something that he had indicated, and he's going to probably do it at some point, but I don't think he wants to before he wraps up the Democratic nomination.
Johnathon Alter of Newsweek and MSNBC, thanks for helping us sort this stuff out.
Thanks, Keith.